because you have cancer and will be dead in the 6 months.
Yeah.
So he died in a week, lying in bed at home.
Yeah.
And I knew that with my wife. That's part of what got me into this. God knows how many years ago she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I was told what was going to happen, and I'm going to end up with 5 kids and, be a single parent and blah, blah, blah. That's when I got into holistic medicine and hope and, alternatives. And she outlived her doctors. And the nice part was, she was home all the time. And one morning I got up, and I thought she was still sleeping, so I didn't, disturb her. Then I came back to the bedroom to get her up because we were having care at home. She looked so peaceful, but when I touched her, I realized she had died. But, she had died so peacefully. Everything was exactly in place.
Well, and I think we have to, I want to challenge you here. I think we also have to reconfigure the meaning of hope. One hope is to conquer this disease or not die. And then there are other hopes, like I want to write letters for my children to open on these landmark birthdays and graduations that I'm not going to be there for, probably. I want to take this so-called last year of life and get in an RV and go across the country and visit national parks. These are some of the things people do when they reconfigure. You can't have a narrow conception of hope. A friend of mine who was a Zen carpenter, he wanted to know that he was going to leave his wife with a renovated little cabin, basically, that they lived in, with no mortgage. And they achieved that so that when he died, he felt comfortable knowing that she was going to be okay when he was gone. So I think, frankly, doctors have too narrow a conception of hope, and then they don't give people enough information to make realistic plans.
Hope is not statistical. I
was the other way around.
I'd be giving a lecture, and somebody would get up and say, when I say somebody, a doctor in the audience, "You're giving false hope." I said, what is false hope? It's an oxymoron. If you buy a lottery ticket, do you ever win? So it's not statistical to have hope. And I learned to give, even in my website, I have an article, Deceiving People into Health. I got people well by lying to them. See?
But then how do you deal then with the conflict of someone really is dying and they're saying, or their family is saying something like, Mom's a fighter and she's in the ICU, she's got 4 different diagnoses, she hasn't spoken in 17 days.
Yeah.
Because I worry about...
It's not a fight. That's the point. I was just thinking of Alex Trebek and wish I could talk to him. Because there's so many articles in the paper fighting the battle, it's not a battle. It's not a war. You're not a loser if you die. It's about healing your life. Yeah.
Yes, but let me tell you a story from my book. I'm really interested in what you would have to say about it. So there's a woman named Amy Berman, and she's a nurse, and she was diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer. And the first doctor she went to, the nationally prominent expert in her cancer, told her to go through chemo, radiation, mastectomy, and then a different round of chemo. And she actually is an RN. She's an expert in palliative care. And she basically said, look, this is already metastasized to the bone. We're going to destroy my quality of life now, and then I'm going to bump along for who knows how long, and my health is going to be really damaged. I don't like this pathway. And so she basically fired that doctor and left, and she went back to another oncologist who said, what do you want to accomplish? And I think that's such a much more important question than this is what we're going to do. And she said exactly that. She wanted a Niagara Falls trajectory. She wanted to stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible and then have a quick decline because she really felt she knew her time was going to be limited. She's now 9 years out from her diagnosis. The only treatment she's done, what do you call it, estrogen suppressing therapy, so she takes a pill that suppresses her estrogen levels. And she's had one burst of very focused palliative radiation to destroy some of the cancer cells that were creating pain for her in her back. That's it. And she still works. She's gone to China. She's seen her daughter graduate. But she remained in the driver's seat. But I would say that false hope would have actually been a bad thing for her. For her, being honest about the fact that she had a stage 4 cancer and that she wanted to manage it but not fix it, and she wanted to focus on quality of life, was much more important to her than we're going to go all out and do this kind of, scorched earth policy and hope that leads to a so-called cure that is not in the books.
Yeah. See, the reason I bring that up is several. One is doctors take away hope. You have 2 months to live. And people go home and die in a month. And I've told some families to sue their doctors. And they have. And their insurance companies for these stupid comments they make to them and take all their hope away. So hope, as I say, it's not about statistics. It's about an opportunity. So you want to do it? Fine, do it. I mean, again, when I tell you these stories, you have a lawyer. Why are you a lawyer? My parents wanted me to be a lawyer. I always wanted to be a violinist. You have a few months to live. Close the office, and I'll play my violin. Years later, he was in an orchestra playing a violin. It's getting people to not try to avoid dying, but to live, let your heart make up your mind is the way I like to put it. I have people with pets and children who don't die because of them. I mean, these are quotes. I can't die till they're all married and out of the house. 9 kids.
Right.
20 years later, the last one left home, that's when Mama died. That's what blows my mind. See, how do you keep a cancer under control for 20 years? Well, I can't die. God. I had a woman with 12 cats. Her kids came in and said, look, our mother has cancer. She needs all these treatments. We'll get rid of the cats, clean her house, because we don't even visit. It stinks in there. I said, no. They looked at me like, no. I said, your mother's dead if you take away her cats. So what you do is go in, clean up, and tell your mother no one wants 12 cats. And they came into the office for years, smiling at, the wise Dr. Siegel, who told them to clean the house and leave the cats. Yeah.
Yeah. I love what you were saying earlier, that we know when we're dying. We don't, that it'll come out in dreams and in paintings. And in the book, I mean, you probably know a lot more about this, but I was surprised to learn about people get visitations from a coyote, or they see a man on the ridgepole of the building next to them, and he's wearing a top hat and tails, or you come in the next morning and they say they were at a party with their dead wife and their dead relatives, and they get these visitations from the dead, or they go to a party, or they say things like, I need to pack, or I need to move to a higher floor of the nursing home, or I need to go on this journey. And that we're speaking and knowing these things in these intuitive terms. And I believe, and you probably know much better than me, that those stories are a much better guide to what is about to happen than looking at a scan, and saying whether the tumor grew or not.
You hold that thought now, Bernie. We need to take our next break, everyone. Don't go away. Right. We'll be back more with Dr. Bernie Siegel and Katy Butler.
Join Dr. Bernie Siegel on Mind Health Matters every week, Wednesday through Friday, 12 p.m. and 12 a.m. Eastern Time on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Bernie will draw from his inspirational personal journey, offering us special nuggets of his sacred wisdom. Listen in as Bernie reminds us to be fully engaged in life.
Dr. Bernie Siegel's writings and the 12 books he's published so far reflect his passion to reach people struggling with all of life's challenges. His latest, A Book of Miracles, inspiring true stories of healing, gratitude, and love, is both riveting and belief-expanding. Bernie has produced wonderful resources for everyone, like 365 prescriptions for the soul, daily messages of inspiration, hope, and love, and faith, hope, and healing. Bernie's books also include those like Love, Magic, and Mud Pies, a great resource for parents, and delightful loving stories like Buddy's Candle to help children of all ages cope with the loss of a loved one, be it a pet or a parent. To purchase Bernie's books, CDs, or DVDs, go to BernieSiegelMD.com. And while you're there, empower the mind, body, and spirit with Bernie's heartwarming articles.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega's Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Royd DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowdfunded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Okay, we're back. Again, I wanted to mention that Dr. Bernie's show, Mind Health Matters, is on the Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, Wednesday through Friday, 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You can go on Dream Visions, all one word with an S on the end, the number 7radio.com. You can also listen to him in various ways, whether it be online, in your car with Bluetooth, on any of your mobile devices. You could be in Sweden riding around and listening to Bernie's show. So we have all the bells and whistles in the technology area. To get a hold of Bernie, you can go on his site. It's BernieSiegelMD.com. Siegel is S-I-E-G-E-L. BernieSiegelMD.com. And for his guest, Katy Butler, you can go on her site. Her books are there and all the goodness that she is doing in elevating the human race. It's Katy Butler, K-A-T-Y, Butler.com. And now that we're back, I wanted to ask Katy, with reading the book, all the myths around hospice are listed in the book, and I was just, it was good to learn all of these things. So could you share a couple of those myths, Katy, for us, for the listeners?
Yes. One, of course, is that hospice is a building, whereas actually in America, hospice is a benefit provided by insurance and by Medicare. A lot of people think that hospice is only good for like the last 3 or 4 days of life, a period that nurses often call active dying. But the reality is you can be on hospice for 6 months or sometimes even longer. And one of the stories in my book is about a woman with pancreatic cancer who's in her 80s who works up until 6 weeks before she dies, and she's on the hospice benefit for 9 months before she dies. So because hospice is so good at things like pain control, which often have devastated people's quality of life, they go on hospice, they get really good pain control, they get the kind of thinking and talking that Bernie gives people about what matters to you, what do you love, do what you love, let's figure out how you can continue to do what you love, and as a result they perk up, they get off a lot of drugs that have been causing them pain or difficulty, and they actually outlive people who are pursuing maximum treatment sometimes and a higher quality of life.
Let me add something, because I tell people if you want a good hospice, go in and say, do you have any dropouts or graduations? Because there are many hospices